he's very serious about coaching. You know, we've had recipients that have coached for 10, 15, 20 years, and this is one of those guys. He's been coaching in West Division for 14 years, started out helping out Bobby Goodwin, and now is the head coach of the Cubs. He's done summer league. He's up in, if you go by Tobin Field, the minor league diamond, you'll see Scott Slater. He's just a tremendously positive, up-spirited person. He also is very proud of the mentoring work he does with Beacon Academy, which is a prep school that gets kids ready for high school. And he talks very highly about the fact that they've had a 0% dropout rate with the kids that they've prepared for high school. So at this time, I know he's supported by a number of players here today from the Cubs Nation. I want to recognize at this time Mr. Scott Slater. Let's give him a big round of applause.
You know, I used to have hair like that. You know, big head of brown hair before I started coaching. Just let the pitchers do it to you. Thank you very much, Anthony. And the board members of Lucio Associates. This breakfast has always been one of my favorite Cambridge events to attend, and I'm honored to be here today. There are very few things that have given me as much pleasure and personal satisfaction over the past 20 years as my involvement, both as a parent and as a coach, with Cambridge youth sports programs. I'd like to thank just a couple of people who've helped me over the years. First off, thanks to my brother-in-law, Alex Palmer, who was a three-sport athlete at Colby College back when that was still possible, and a longtime high school coach in football, basketball, and baseball. Alex taught me most of what I know about the great game of baseball. I met him when I was 12 years old. Spending hours with me as a coach, and when I was older as a teammate, improving my game by his example, teaching me much about coaching baseball. I'd like to thank Steve McAuliffe, whose assistant coach I was for 5 years before taking over the Cubs. I learned much watching the way Steve talked to and dealt with his players, especially his policy of saying something positive to every player after every game. He called this policy his highlights. The Cubs know about the highlights. And made a practice of saving his lowlights for practices, a tradition I've continued to this day. I'd like to thank Bobby Goodwin, whose assistant I was on the Cubs for a couple of years. Bobby was gifted at making the game fun for his players, and I learned much from him. He told me from the start, quote, "I don't know that much about baseball, but I know how to make sure kids have fun playing sports," which was a very good lesson to learn. I'd like to thank Louis Pasquale for the warm welcome he gave to me the first year I coached the Cubs. I appreciate very much his advice and wisdom about the game, about coaching baseball, and the ins and outs of West Cambridge. He has been extremely generous with his time over the years and has always welcomed me in his office at any time to discuss the finer points of the game, even if this meant asking the mayor or Bob Healy to vacate the premises. Louis has likewise provided me with an example to emulate, and at last count has still won more mayor's cups than I have. I would be remiss if I didn't mention his influences and mentors. Bill Murray, player coach of my fast pitch softball team for many years. Ralph Dunphy, coach of the West Cambridge Major League A's. Paul Del Vecchio, Frankie Del Vecchio, and Sal Bonacci of the Unknowns, Major League Girls Softball. Eddie Chasen, president of West Cambridge Little League. Joe Basile, longtime sponsor of the Cubs. And the summer league coaches I've worked with over the last 10 years, who include Jay Mahoney, Steve Kendall, Harry Irwin, Anthony Tuccianardi, and my fellow honoree, Mark Rath. I want to thank all the Ruby Reds and Cubs parents who helped with both teams over the years, especially my parents this year, who are the most helpful, talented, and involved parents I've ever had, with the exception of Jeff Peterson. Thanks to all my players, too many to mention by name. I'd like to especially thank Mark Cullen. Would you mind standing up for a moment, Mark, who has been my assistant and my co-coach for the past year. Mark stayed on with the Cubs after his son went up to the majors, and it was hard to imagine not having Mark to talk to about everything, from lineups and batting orders to complaints about umpires and strike zones and all the various minutiae of coaching. Thank you very much, Mark. I'd also like to thank my scorekeeper, Ben Cox. Ben, please stand up. Throughout his Cubs career, stayed on as scorekeeper and all-around helper. Has been to virtually every game in practice over the last 6 years. Ben was graduated from Cambridge Ridge Latin School Thursday and is off to the University of Cincinnati next year. We'll all miss him very much. Finally, thanks to my wife, Ellen, and my children, Felicity and Gordon, for their patience and forbearance over the years. And congratulations to all the other honorees, especially Phil Rizzuto, a great umpire, a wonderful young man who I've known since he was leading my team as a player. Thank you all very much.